Welcome back. Welcome to math time. We are going to be working on during week 3 perimeter, area, and we are going to start off with the perimeter. Okay, the perimeter is the outside of something. Think of like a fence. Okay, and you are going to be able to solve for perimeter by figuring out the sum of the measurement. So if you look at the drawing above in this task analysis, they gave you the measurement of 5 feet by 3 feet. They didn't give you the measurement of everything. But what you had learned as of last week was what's considered measurement. And you learned that if you have something that is the same length here, then it would represent the same length here. So it would be a 5 also at the bottom. And if you have a 3 on one side, then it's also going to be a 3 on the other. Now, to figure out the perimeter, you are going to have to add all 4 digits together. So 5 plus 3 plus 5 plus 3 is considered 16 feet. Now, notice the measurement label. There's no square, there's no cube. It is just the outside of something. So you are just labeling as feet. If you are measuring in meters, you would label it meters. Okay? So if I go down to the worksheet itself, it's asking, okay, well, what would be the perimeter of what you see in problem number 1? If you're doing paper copy, you would write the answers directly on this worksheet. So you can go, okay, well, there's 5 across, so I'm measuring 5, and I'm measuring 5 on the side here, so I would put a 5 here. I'm measuring 5 on this side, so I would place a 5, and I'm measuring 5 on this side, so I'd place a 5. Now what's 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 equal? It equals 20, so you would place a 20 right here. Now on a worksheet, it's going to look a little bit different. I will show you what that is going to look like. And you would do the same thing down here. You are going to figure out the perimeter of this rectangle, the perimeter of this square, and the perimeter of this rectangle. And they're measured in different increments, but it doesn't matter as far as figuring out perimeter. Okay, let me show you what this problem number 1 would look like on a worksheet. Again, we made the boxes for you. You would be typing this information in. So you go to the first box and you would type in a 5. Whoops. Right here, maybe. 5 here. You would type in a 5 here, type in a 5 here, type in a 5 here, and then you figure out the answer, which is 20, and I've already placed the label, which is centimeters. Then you come down to questions numbers 2, 3, and 4. Again, the question numbers here, the label is already for you, so all you're doing is typing in the answer. Pretty simple worksheet. You got this, 4th graders. Okay? Also, if you notice, the way I set up the worksheets is, do you see the page number here down at the bottom? That page number is also located on your worksheet. So you have page 73 up here, so you can make sure you're using the same worksheet. Okay? The next worksheet that I'm going to talk about on this video is this one right here, which talks about area. Okay? With area, you are figuring out the square units. What is going to cover a flat surface? Okay? Which means you're doing the base and the height, and you're figuring out that amount. Remember the little manipulatives of the little cubes that we put together? That is what we're talking about, okay? The base and the height of something. Because you are measuring 2 different items, you have the base and the height. When you write your answer, it would be writing it with a square. So if your answer is 112, you practiced writing it as 112 squared. Now, another way you can write this information is using words. So they wrote it as 112 square feet. So if I were to write this as my answer, 112 square, what am I measuring in? I'm measuring in feet, so I would write feet also. Okay, so there's 2 different ways you can write it. We will accept either way. The way you figure out area is by multiplying. Okay, perimeter, you were adding all of the sides up. With area, you are only needing to know the base and the height, and you multiply the 2 together. So right here we have the 8 and we have the 14. You take the 8 and the 14 and you are going to multiply those together. When you multiply them together, you end up getting your area. Okay? So we are going to practice this. I'm going through it pretty quickly because we spent so much time in class talking about all of this that I feel like you guys are pretty close to being experts when it comes to figuring out the area of something. If you need a separate piece of paper to work these problems out, please do. There's quite a bit of room in the margins too, so you're welcome to use the margins. As long as your answers are well organized, we're fine. You can use the paper copies that we give you also. So we have our length and our width, or we're going to try to figure out this area. Sorry, my printer's going off. We have multiple people here working on school, but you are going to multiply 13 times 6. You are multiplying this information together. If I can get this pen to work. There it goes. Okay. So 6 times 3, you know, is 18. So you write your 8 and you carry your 1. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7, which gives you 78. So then when you go through and you're going to write your answer, I know it would be 78, and I'm measuring in meters. So I'm going to write meters, and we're multiplying two numbers. That can help you remember, oh yeah, area, I need to square it. So that would be your answer. Now, like I told you, there's multiple ways to write your answer. So you could write it as 78, I'm going to write it kind of diagonal, squared meters. Oh, this pen is going to drive me crazy today. I think it's just tired. Needs to charge. Okay? So there's two different ways you can write it. You are going to solve the problems for numbers 2, number 3, and number 4. If you are doing it on a worksheet, you are going to type it. If you're doing it through Google Classroom, you are going to use the worksheet to solve it for. Okay, so again, if I were to erase all of this information, and I know that I am working on the area worksheet, which is page 75. That's the document that you would want to use to type your stuff in. This is all in Google Classroom, okay? But again, you have questions 1 through 4. You write your answer. Do not forget your label. Remember, you're measuring an area, so you need to make sure that, especially if you're typing, it might be easier that you write squared and then whatever you're measuring. So let's say the answer is 78 squared meters. You would write 78 squared meters. And we actually did number 1 together. So I'll show you how I would write this. And remember, you're probably typing it, but you would write 78 because that's your answer. And because you're typing it, you probably don't want to write it the other way. You want to use your words. Squared meters. Just like so. Okay? Enjoy your math.